Hi, folks. Nick Tockert here with the Historical Fencing Guild. I'm sorry for the slight delay. I will explain why in just a moment. Uh, because we have some news to discuss, and I am hoping that by discussing it, we can get everything straightened out on my end. Some good news, some bad news, and some exciting news. So we're going to get through this. First and foremost, I got to pay some bills. Remember, all of my stuff is made possible. Whoa! By the simple sword, the fighting axe, and the simple spear, all available through purchase on Amazon.com, as well as the lovely folks in the chat who are my patrons. Now, I'm going to be setting up a patron uh, screen in the very near future because I owe you guys a debt of thanks, and it seems like I'm a little distant. Let me get through these last bit of issues, and I will mosey on closer. Much, much better. Pardon that my wall seems to be drifting. That's part of the shenanigans we are dealing with. Hi guys. Let me hit the chat real quick and catch up. Oh, we started with the jokes. Oh, good. No, this isn't that long of a delay, folks. Sorry about that. There is some big news, and I want to get into it, so we can get right into it. First and foremost, I mentioned this on my other channel, but let me see if I can get at it. It may switch my formatting around just to get it the banner, but to explain part of why I'm running a little nervous. You're going to see me switch over. It should only change my icons a bit, but because that's where this image is. Okay. Big announcement concerning my books. June 20th, the print costs across the board on Amazon are going up. I will be trying to adjust my my rates to mitigate, but I keep them very close to the minimum, so you may see them go up a few cents. I'm not sure how bad it's going to be yet. It's kind of up in the air. But if you're planning to buy books on Amazon from any independent creator, especially a certain sword master, you really want to buy it before that change hits. So I do try to keep my costs literally as low as possible because I believe that people learning to sword fight is one of my great passions. If you genuinely can't afford it, I will be working on some options. There are reasons why, even though this is my magnum opus, I switched to a much smaller subject and much smaller format to make it less expensive to get in. I will be doing more books on subjects like this in the future in that smaller format. So I may have to tread back over some ground that I've walked, not fully, because I really do believe that the simple sword is worth every cent. But I've got to do something to find a cheaper way to get basic sword instruction into you guys' hands. So I will be basically, I have 2 or 3 projects right after this weekend, after tomorrow, that I will be deep diving. The guildies know about it. Let me get back to where I'm supposed to be because the wires are crossing and I don't feel quite comfortable. There we are. And if you want to know more, please join the Historical Fencing Guild Patreon. I cannot sell my books as part of my contract anywhere else with Amazon till I have the opportunity to leave that contract. So right now it's a little tight and squeaky for me, but I hope you understand all of that. We will. That being said, I may have earlier versions up and available for download. And I'm going to be digging through some of my lost files to make sure that there's a very special secret folder set up for guild members only, for paying guild members, that is, on the Patreon, where you can get some of the reference materials I acquired, links, things like that. So I'm going to be building up a lot for you guys over there. Also, they're getting exclusive tracking videos of the upgrades to the facilities that I hope you guys saw that. I hope you got to check out that video and enjoy it. There should be some more. I have some announcements about what's coming down the pipe there, which may mean some very different content that I've been meaning to do for quite some time, thanks to some local assistance from a very kind gentleman. So that may be, I know I'm using a lot of maybes. I don't like to say that will be in the works, because if something goes catastrophically wrong, I have lied to you, and I do not want to lie to you. I have to close that out because that is just glitching, and I'm going to have to do something else about it. Now, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is, theoretically, if Mandy can place the order, which I hope she is, I will be getting a order of parry daggers. Hopefully. And it's a much bigger deal because I reached out to some good folks at Cold Steel and good folks over at some of their suppliers. And when I'm talking about parry daggers, I am referring to the Cold Steel parry dagger trainers. They're made out of Santoprene. They have excellent flex. Both of mine are currently not where they're supposed to be because I am in the middle of revitalizing some projects. Please ignore the haunted lantern behind me. I have to do something with that. That's on my list of repairs. Anyway, but the thing with them is they are confirmed discontinued. Now, I'm going to try to track down why, because unlike many of the other Cold Steel weapons, which that is not, but I saw... Where did that knife trainer go? 1 second, I'm still here. That's not it. That's a sickle. Sickles come later. Dang it. Okay. Much like this guy, which is the Cold Steel brand Laredo Bowie, the tape is not for any quality that's to show it off. It has a little flex. Those have a lot of flex, making them much safer for... Oh, bugger. I've actually misplaced a 6-foot long sword. I don't know how I misplaced... I'm sorry, no. It's not a 6-foot long sword. A 5-foot long sword. Come on. Anyway, here we go. I gotta fix my wall. There we go. That's a bit better. We are having every breed of... My cats broke in, ran havoc while I was trying to work on organizing things in here and have basically turned my study into a nightmare. And I look unprofessional. That's okay. Today is the day for it. I'm not going to get mad. There we go. Cool. Anyway. I need to put a guard on this thing somehow. Not sure how, but a guard it is needed. Because that's actually one of my more comfortable grips. I may have to invest in more expensive swords just to get better grips. Okay. So my favorite parry dagger, the one trainer I have recommended for decades, has been discontinued for no known reason. I am incredibly sickened by it. So I'm gonna see if I can't get a hold of Lynn Thompson. Now, if you want answers, you reach out to Lynn Thompson, because I've been buying and giving those things away for years. And frankly, had I known, I would have ordered a bunch for myself so that I could use them for training. And they are ordered. Okay. We reached out and we found one or two retailers that still allegedly have some on hand and have ordered a quantity of 6 of them so that they can come in and I can use them alongside the poly rapiers, which they should pair with perfectly. Now, I have 2. One's orange and one has a guard that I've modded, but they are, my personal ones, and I own 6 of the rapiers, one of which I have actually been reshaping the handle with a Dremel tool to make it a little more comfortable for my damaged hand and wrist. I will continue reshaping that as time goes by to make it optimum for at least for my needs. I will probably spray paint the bell on it to make it very notably mine. But that's something that I'm working on. Those, however, that for a while I could barely find anywhere, are starting to show up more. So Wu Jiao Wu, the same guys who make a number of really wonderful trainers, the Chinese trainers. Are you one of them? Yes, you are. I believe. Yes. The guys with, let me try to get the logo to show up. It's hard to see, but aha. This funny, not quite tight, not quite I honestly have no idea what that logo is, but the guys who made this are making those poly rapiers, which I'm really excited to get out and start field testing because they're much whippier than the other ones. And that's what a big part of tomorrow is hopefully going to be, depending on attendance. Now, because of storms and the season, attendance is looking minor, and I am gut-wrenched by it. But we will do what we can. We will film what we can, and I have some upgrades to the site for content that I can't tell you about yet. But it's going to be cool. Like, super cool. And I'm very excited. So, on the downside, the Parry daggers are no more. That means if you can find them, now is a good time to get them because people are going to be scooping them up. They're ultra light. They're still staying relatively cheap. We're looking at definitely sub $20. But they're very good. Now, I missed out years ago on the FE9 live steel for this particular knife, which I've always wanted to at least handle. I don't want you guys to miss out on these trainers because they're great trainers, and the live steel version is still available through Cold Steel. So I'm baffled as to why they would get rid of it, unless they had difficulty doing a rapier version, at which point, well, I've been after them for years to get a rapier. So it would be a great thing for anybody who watches this to reach out and bug Lynn Thompson and say, bring these back. I may just try to start a stink and see how much noise I can raise to get people to realize that these are great trainers. And they help so many people because they're light enough. Because I work with women, because I work with smaller people, and because I work with people with physical limitations, like myself, having lightweight trainers is so nice. Now, I have a Parry dagger. Sure, I got a Parry dagger. There you go. This is a very special Parry dagger. This was an early Purple Heart Armory Parry dagger that had a nagel, just a little piece of metal, that a gentleman by the name of Justin Service welded a piece of, I want to say, mild steel to. I wrapped it in black electrical tape to protect both the weapon itself and anything opposing it. However, this thing weighs about 2 pounds. It's quite stout. So this can, especially for my right hand, that puts a lot more torque. So it can actually be dangerous for me to use this too much. I'm a little scared by that. So I have to look at other options. Now, I would never come to you with a problem without a measure of a solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up why am I typing? I have a hot link. Move to new window, and then I will get into your comments. We'll go here. We'll go here. Here we go. Cool. And I will present, share screen, PHA, boom. Okay, so PHA, there is a similar option that can be used, and I want to see where it's coming up. Because, okay, it's not coming up here. That's interesting. Because I was looking at it today. So we'll go European martial arts, daggers. And then I'm not trying to ignore you guys. I just want to get this information out as fast as possible because they don't have the dagger anymore as well. But they do have, if I can find it, yes, Poniard for $24.95. Which, what's the blade length on that? I need to look at the blade length real quick. Yes, I know it doesn't. 17. Okay, so this is a very nice parry dagger. It's got the traditional rope grip, and we will go right into all the glory that is this when I get money to order. However, as I said, I found the traditional ones that are sitting at half the cost. So I went with them to try to make things work. Now, let me zap this. I keep trying to lose my stylus. Okay, yes, I know I need to clean my world up, but we're going to go solo layout. Now, I'm going to hit your comments real quick, and we'll try to catch up, and we'll talk about some other news as things go on. Okay, so first through the door is Foxy saying, good evening, Foxy. Always good to see you. Here I am to save the day. That's Mighty Mouse, isn't it? And get all the books before the price goes up, because Zahn is raising the prices. Thank you so much. That is a true gut wrench for me, in that I want to keep things as inexpensive as possible, and I will be tweaking some other things to try to keep it up. I only make about $1 profit. In some cases, because of making sure people can get at the books, I am running the absolute minimum. So I will have to raise those prices, or else they will stop. The book will be unavailable till I do. It's a problematic, and I do apologize, but it's all I can do. So then go to patreon.com/the Historical Fencing Guild to support Nick's efforts to teach everyone to be dangerous safely. Absolutely. I have some new students who are interested. A couple very special cases where I may be working with people a bit younger than my standard, but that will require permissions and setup. Like I said, it's a very special situation. And then, of course, how much better would life be if you had how much better would life be if you had snazzy art? DeviantArt.com/Nick. Yes, I do custom art. I am going to be picking up some commission work as soon as I clear my my writing projects, because I have a couple games that need work, and as guildies know, I have 2 or 3 nonfiction books. Basically, I juggle a lot of projects till one of them ends up done and falls into the done pile, and I keep them going. I just got too many up in the air right now, so I have to find the right one to knock out and get it out so I can keep trucking. That's next week is going to be very much a writing week for me. And every day, ish. I know I've had every Friday night at 7 p.m. ish, 8 p.m. Eastern, tune into the Historical Fencing Guild to find out what kind of fun wine shirt Nick is wearing. Yes, today I'm modeling one of my nice black and highlighting models. I like this shirt. It's one of my newer favorites. I got the sun clearance at Walmart. It's been smoky here all day. Oh, the air is a little. There's a grunge to it out here. Not too bad there. I'm glad to hear it. And Cindy says, "What do you call a pig that does karate? Pork chop. What do you call a sheep that does karate? Lamb chop. What kind of martial arts does a monkey practice? Kung fu. Your hair poofed. Yes. It is going to be 90 plus degrees. And despite some losses on the eastern front here, the northern front, yeah, I have very, very thick hair, and that's akin to walking around with a stocking cap. So I am forced to wear much shorter hair for my own safety in this region. So yes, I am running much, much more aerodynamic right now. It has a negative in that it does remind me of certain aspects of my past, but it has a positive. I tend to focus better with short hair. I can't explain it. It just happens. And my wife loves to do the baby duck pet the back of my head. What type of martial arts do British people like? Karate. Now, I do want to talk about that briefly, because rattling around here somewhere, and we are very much up in the air right now, are my books on Barkitsu, the best reformed version of the Victorian era self-defense systems. A fascinating system. It's one I like and I would love to practice more, because it does incorporate the use of hats, canes, umbrellas, hairpins. Now, hairpins aren't something most ladies wear anymore, but the hat is something that I believe everyone should wear, given that the sun is not our friend. It is, as close to an eldritch being as we'll ever know. But we, bam, bam, bam. I wear a hat, so understanding how to use it tactically is a good thing. I carry a cane. I do not always need the cane, but I often need to have the cane in case I need it, thus making it useful to know how to apply it. I'm also kind of frantically. I did not intend to spend as much money as I had to spend, and with the economy, we've lost some patrons. No bash on the patrons. You guys are the best people in the world. You're what make this go on, but people have had downside, and I don't want anyone who had to financially leave or step down a little bit to feel bad. I understand what's going on in the economy. I am incredibly grateful for the generosity you've shown, and I am putting what I've had to put together to work so that I can afford to do some things to keep the lights on and keep my sort of systems going. So thank you. Hair shrunk. Yes, I think we have definitely got into that. Tell Lydia, keep the gremlins off the wall. Yeah, Lydia's had a rough time lately. I heard tell the price was 20 cents. The price is going up depending on the format, the size of what you do, the word count, and if you have color. Now, many of my game books are 8.5 by 11, so there's an extra fee that they're adding to that because paper prices. Uh, some colors allegedly have color prints have gone down. There's going to be a lot of changing, and I'm just trying to hold off hitting that button at least till the people in my circle have a shot at getting the stuff before I have to hit that button and have things change around. So it's scary, but it's necessary. Amazon is raising their prices. Well, it's still worth the buy, and it's for now. So you guys will be able to get it. I will be probably purchasing. I have to look at my funds and do some shady Nick math to see if I can't get my personal author copies, because they'll be going up too. Do a bulk buy, so I'm running ahead of it, so I don't have to raise my in-person fees. But I saw nothing official. Magnum Opus was a very amusing song, totally instrumental. I need to go check out the Patreon stuff and upload my own tales next chapter too. I keep forgetting that. Yes, you have a lovely Patreon. Your swords have feet. Yeah, they run around. Some wish their blades measured to a whole foot. Wow. Hi, Johnny. Size isn't everything. No comment. You're doing fine, Thesis. Wow. Yeah, so because you guys are watching, I'm going to give you a bit of a sneak discussion. I may have a new thrown weapons target in the near future. Part of the funds that I have acquired did go to helping a gentleman who very proud. So I arranged for him to make a thrown weapons target out of what he had on hand, and he's been doing some other work to help revitalize the backyard and Listfield, because physically I am not supposed to run power tools. I am letting that be squiggly around very light power tools such as a Dremel, because there is not a lot of vibration off of one of those, and I intend to get one of the pen attachments, so there will be even less going through my hand. But that's in the future. When I get some of my after I've set up everything for everybody else, then I will set up my own situation to make stuff better. You guys understand. However, I have been experimenting with my personal plastic rapier, and I took the Dremel tool to it, and I have been able to start paring down the grip shape to make it a little more functional. So I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. No comment. You're doing fine. You can't help me for free type. Perfect for exactly. Very, very good gentleman. Life has done some unkindness too, and he's been of wonderful service to us as a neighbor, and I want to continue to help him within the confines of what he can accept, both personally, for pride, and legally, because he is operating through like Social Security. He's an older gentleman, and he has a lot of health problems. So it's navigating around that. Thesis says, one of these days I will pull out my shuriken collection and get back to throwing those. I also think I have a poorly balanced throwing knife around here as well. I am calling Thesis Sasuke from now on. You're not wrong. Okay, if you're going to get into throwing knives, let's talk throwing knives. There are some models I can recommend, and I have a few in reach that I am rather fond of. Not all of them, of course, because that would be too easy. And basically, I need a team of people to help look after me sometimes, I swear. First off, I want to dispel some myths. Larger knives are much easier to throw than smaller knives. People will tell you that, oh, whipping a little throwing knife, there's no weight, so you're not. No. Weight is your friend. Weight is momentum. Remember, save for some people who do some trickery shots. When you're throwing a knife, it isn't a straight throw. The knife tumbles. And the gyroscopic function, just like a bicycle wheel, of a knife tumbling. So let me get. Okay, this is actually not terribly balanced for throwing, even though it's just a rubber knife. The knife end over ends. Boom. Now, I learned to throw from a blade throw because several knives have irregularity on the grip. It is not advised that as a starter position, but I've been throwing knives forever and a day. So you want a knife with some weight because the momentum is what's going to keep the weight is what's going to keep the momentum in the gyroscopic action. And what you end up learning is how far a given knife, when you throw it, needs to rotate completely. Okay, so boom, boom. So it goes through the air like this. Okay, so larger knives are your friends. If you're on the slightly poorer end of the spectrum, and I'm not sure where my medium knives are. Is that them? What is that? That's something important. That's something important too. What is that? Oh, that's important, but it's not for this. Where did they go? Oh well. I'm sure they will turn up. There are reasons somebody goes in. My favorite throwers are actually a bit on the inexpensive. They're Timberwolves. Timberwolf TW22s. This is my backup set. I have 3 or 5 of these guys, sets of these guys that I've acquired over the years for throwing days. They come with a very nice rubberized grip. Yes, YouTube, this is a sharp weapon. I am a professional. I've been instructing people in the art of swordsmanship for 20 years. I can handle an edged weapon with care. My surroundings are safe despite my shenanigans and shtick, and I know where everyone else is. So in the Boy Scout term, Circle of Blood, it is fully clear. I'm not doing anything abnormal. Okay? That being said, this one was actually shot because there was a party, and that was before it was mine. However, it took the offending bullet quite well. Now, these balance well, they tumble well, there's a lot of weight to them, and they have, very importantly, a stop to keep your hand from sliding up if you're new. These are very newbie friendly. There are some flaws in the Timberwolves, and the biggest flaw is this rubberized grip handle. It is beautiful until you throw more than one of them, or you may miss, and you can see on the back end of this, it's already starting to wear out. What will happen is I will eventually have a day where those have been beat up, and I actually try to keep these separate so that I can use them as this is what you get when you buy it, because mine are usually cut off, and then the whole knife is spray painted bright orange, so that when I'm throwing it, I can see where it lands, because that is another hazard. Shockingly, a reflective knife in a green setting reflects green a lot of the time and can be quite tricky to find. But this is about 11 inches overall. I want to say it's a 6-inch blade, roughly. It is edged all the way around. It's a leaf-shaped blade, so it's very, very forgiving. This weighted mass keeps the balance real nice, and it bites aggressively, which is something you want. You want your knife to bite aggressively. Note it has a hollow grind, so the grind, can I get it to show on it? Yeah, kind of curves in. This makes it very slicey, something you want in a throwing knife. And you get a set of 3 in a very nice sheath. These weren't terribly expensive, but I have to check the prices. Now, the next knives of this class they're very similar in design, but they cost about 3 to 4 times as much, at least they used to. And they're made by my favorite knife maker in the world. This is the similar knife made by Gil Hibben. Now, this has some downsides in that visually it is much harder to tell this is the blunted side, this is the sharpened side. However, there is not a true edge on these. There's a little bit towards the end, and it sharpens at the point. The balance, of course, it's superb. This is an excellent thrower. Solid steel. This was this made the International Knife Throwers Hall of Fame. This is a great throwing knife. It holds in the hand, so you can actually grip very nice and have good edge alignment for a handle throw. I've not thrown these nearly as much as I should, but I'm hoping to get into that again. They are nice. Now, we will talk about 2 types of throwing axe while we're here. And the 2 types of throwing axe you are likely to encounter, as I drop things because my throwing knives are quite well buried. Stay put. Sir Pennington has taken the day off again. You are in need of some glue. This is a lightweight throwing axe. This is by Timberwolf again. Chinese axe, very inexpensive. I actually used to wear, this is my second one of these, which I believe has ripped out the bottom a little bit. I'm going to have to check on that. I may have to make a new sheath. But I used to wear this as a neck knife. I had a strap through the old style of this, which hung differently. And I would wear this on my neck when I went out hiking because it was just enough to do light wood processing. It is definitely a throwing style. However, this style of knife, of axe, is prone to rotate. The good thing about these is they're cheap and they're lighter. I've mentioned light, can be good or bad. But for carry, these aren't bad. You can short shank on them and use them for knife-like applications. It has this really nice powder coating. I love the coating on these things. It's dang near bulletproof. You could dig a latrine hole with this if you had to. And it's very lightweight. The mark is TW384. Little hard to find because they like to throw these in specific kits. But still, a fine little thrower. The problem is throwing axes like this tend to warp. Gil Hibben has some beautiful ones I don't own. And somewhere, I believe, with the rest of my throwers are the Gil Hibben mediums, which are single-edged. Oh, they make me happy. But when we talk about axes, it has been there. Well, here, we'll go to the mouse hawk. We'll just make life easy and go straight to the mouse hawk. This is a mouse hawk, which is a small tomahawk style axe. This is very much a historical multi-tool. This style of thrower is nice. I love a tomahawk for throwing of your throwing axe varieties because the handle is easily replaced. This is by I want to say the Mississippi Axe and Tool Company. It's a wonderful little hatchet. It has grown loose over time, so I will probably have to cut off my pretty grip and reset it. But that's the nature of a tomahawk. These handles can be removed. They slide in and are held by friction. They're not wedged, which makes these very versatile. And you can, if you have a knife, you can easily whittle down a stick to make a new handle for your axe wherever you are. The thing about a mouse hawk is the handle's smaller, so naturally it's a little weaker, and the axe isn't as heavy, so you either have to work harder swinging it or use it for lighter applications. But it throws very nice, especially for people like me who have grip problems. I have several larger tomahawks. They are also currently, I've been moving my sharps around to keep them safe while I clean, and it's been problematic. But this has a working axe edge. I will probably sit and lose my mind sharpening it quite a bit more when I decide to throw with it, but I have no reason to really do that now because it does not have a sheath. I may have to do some leather work to make a sheath for this, which it's been a while, but if my hands can continue improving, I have several leather projects that need to be done. I'll go downstairs. I have some small stash of leather. If I can get those going, I'll show you how to do that. But this style of axe is far better, in my opinion, for throwing than this style. They're much more rugged. They work better. Now, if you're looking to get into axe throwing, there is one negative of this to this and to the third style that I used to throw, which are just standard actual hatchets and axes and double bits. Because out west, I used to watch some of the lumberjack games, and I thought they were cool, and I still do. Please remember that my first real weapons for self-defense and money-making were splitting mauls and axes. So hatchets, axes were actually where I lived long before I took up swordsmanship. And, of course, walking sticks. But, yeah, this guy does need a new sheath, too. So I see a lot of leather work in my immediate future, which means I'll have to buy a whole bunch of dental floss. Getting when you're setting up a target, a axe like this or knives can work with 2x4s for years. I have a very nice target that went, unfortunately, kind of rotted out during the period where I was very sick. I'm going to see what, if anything, I can shape that was made for me by James Robertson. I used the hell out of it, but it kind of didn't hold up after the move. Shook to pieces. There's some problems. But we're going to see what we can do to fix that, if at all possible. We'll have that, and I am working to possibly make something lighter out of a type of hardened styrofoam we acquired for much lighter for kid-like operations, plastics or something. I'm not real sure. It's an experiment. If it goes well, I will do a video on it. But, so there are throwing things. A larger axe is going to work better, but it is an axe. It is meant to split apart wood, shockingly. That means they go through targets much. You do more wear and tear on your targets than if you're using an axe, especially a plug. So a plug is if you can get a chunk of log, cut it thin, but you have a large diameter, you have a plug. These make wonderful targets, especially if they're mounted on some type of easel-like rig, which keeps them upright. That's one thing the SCA is really good at, is archery and thrown weapons targets. But a plug in that environment, if you're throwing knives at it, will last a considerable amount of time, especially given that you can then flip it. And then once it's used up, you simply split the chunks up and use it for firewood and then move on to another. Um, there are other methods and other favored methods we can talk about. So I'm hoping to get back into that as my hands allow. Let's see, what else do we have? We have a comment dump. I am not the biggest fan of shurikens, and I have a few reasons for that. First and foremost, where in Indiana until extremely recently, they were illegal. And the premise was not that they were worried about ninjas, although a lot of things became illegal due to the whole ninja phobia period. It's kind of a thing that happened in the 80s, thanks to the marketing. And it was used to try to be an excuse to target. A lot of the hand weapons were actually racist excuses to target individuals for committing a crime. This is why switchblades went out of why switchblades became illegal, especially stilettos. They were associated with Italian gangsters. Nunchucks were associated with the triads and other organizations. Likewise were shurikens. And I find that both wrong and, frankly, unconstitutional. But I am very big into knife rights. See the glowing, every day is the second when it comes to knife rights. I don't see that as something that can be negotiated with, and that needs to be taken care of. Were there any politicians of quality able to deal with that? But that's, a long-standing, rather rambling debate. Are you? Okay, I know what you are. You're a kukri. Let's see. Some of our kitchen knives are decently balanced. Kitchen knives are decently balanced, but the vast majority of them you do not want to use for throwing applications because throwing knives need to be very springy steel. They have to absorb a tremendous amount of flexibility, okay? Because all that force rattles through them. Kitchen knives tend to be hardened too hard, and they will break. Oftentimes, they're also of too thin of stock. Thin, wide stock makes a very slicey knife, which is why, if you look at this knife, which I use every day, this is duller than I like it, but it's a hollow ground. I think they call this the Bowie grip, with the Bowie blade, but this is very narrow in cross section. And with the hollow ground, it stays even narrower further. It does not wedge out. So this is very slicey. However, that means it works great on this axis. But for the flex, there's no flex in this because, one, it's a very short knife, and two, it's prone to break. That's why you can do things with a fillet knife you can't do with a steak knife, because a fillet knife is very flexy. It's a good fillet knife has a lot of spring to it. And you want that. You want that flexibility and the ability to return, because you need to be able to work your way around bones and rib structures when you're filleting fish, and do so quickly and efficiently. So it has to be extremely sharp, extremely narrow, and extremely flexible. But it's so flexible that it would extra bend and then probably snap if you tried to use it as a thrower. Finding these balances is really a thing. Is my hip, or I suppose you throw your fans. The other thing I've been throwing lately is my hip, I suppose, yes. When I was younger, I had a decent collection of shuriken. My old bedroom at my parents' house has some pinholes in the wall. Oh, absolutely. Your hip is angry too. Mine has been all sorts of annoyed with me. Off and on, a bit feisty Tuesday and Thursday nights, depending on how class went. Well, as you're using it, it's going to act up. Further, we're in a La Nina, El Nino, not El Nino, El Nina. weather patterns. So there's some really screwy things. We are going to have some storms curling around the edges of the country and a massive pressure area that's going to just crank the heat up into the 90s. And understanding, and it's funny, why would a sword guy be talking about the weather? Because the pressure fronts greatly affect how able I am to function. So I have to watch for storm fronts. So what we've been going through the last few days, weather-wise, has been formidable and unpleasant on me. And I've had to endure quite a bit, to the point I am well behind in my efforts. But looking into that, it is not a terrible thing. It's just I know to endure, and then I pay attention. So I need to... I'm looking for something that's supposed to be here, and I realize it's not. I'm going to have a very fun day tomorrow working on this while I'm trying not to panic about the other things I need to do. Okay, I know what knife that is. But we who carry old injuries learn to pay attention to the weather to plan around it. So I know if it's a high pressure dome and it's going to be very clear, I will probably be in some pain, and it will be extremely bright, which doubles down because I'm prone to a type of sun sickness. Sometimes I wonder if I'm not a few notches farther into Johnny's camp than anybody wants to admit. Let's see. I am subbed to Adam Celadin, so I watch knife throwing tutorials. It makes me want to throw things, and I've learned that axe throwing is not my forte. Aggressive parkour is what knives do. Yes, also what ninjas do. That would seem prone to the head flying off the handle. This type? No, because the handle is much wider. So it's narrower on one end. It's hard to see, but the head wedges itself on, and the more you use it, the tighter it takes. Now you pay attention, and you'll see that it digs in, and you have to check your weapons. But you should be doing that at any point with any, especially edged weapons. There are protocols in place for keeping things safe and doing this. We're talking lines of fire, treat it like a range. You have to, you don't point at anything you don't want to destroy. You know what's behind it. You don't pull it without the intent of throwing it. If you're not throwing it, you put the dang thing down. And you can't really assume it's loaded. All of them are unloaded. It has an edge, so it's dangerous. I would replace that with keep it sharp. But the principles are still there. You inspect it every time you throw. And with inspecting it, you're looking at the edge. Is it still sharp? Are there any burrs you need to know about? Is the handle set? This is too loose. I would not allow this because it is loose. I have to remove these stoppers and reset it. But, and real easy, I can show you the difference. I have a lovely caliper. It's not here. The width is 1 inch. Okay, roughly 1 inch, and I want to say 1.25 inches at the peak of the tier. On the wide end, the narrow end is about 3/4 of an inch. What's it have? Yeah, about 3/4 of an inch at its widest, and about 7/8 at its highest at the peak. That means it slides in. Now, a tomahawk, the hole is not straight. It's not like a cylinder. The tomahawk's hole actually is beveled to accommodate that to an extent, but it's usually tighter than the bevel. I have to zap this because my internet is trying to be cranky. There we go. So it will actually hold on just fine. I just wrapped the tapes around it because I wasn't sure about this handle, and I'm glad I did. So I could feasibly take, a folding saw like so. Find a uh, a handle stock out of any wood, preferably hardwood. I have walnut in my backyard, so that's about this diameter on the for the length. Cut a chunk at the desired length of the handle, and then whittle it down. Now, the neat thing I could also do with something like this, if I did not want to use it for throwing, or any of the axes, but especially a guy like this, is I don't need this dramatic narrowing. So I could get something that's like this, but 3 feet long, make a sheath around the head, hammer it up just like a tomahawk, and then I have a focus, which is a Greek shepherd's axe. Lightweight axe on top, good solid reach. We have to understand that when we talk about battle axes, in reality, they do not look like what you think of with these great broad heads and stuff, because that's a tremendous amount of weight. It's a tremendous amount of leverage, and the big space makes it diminishes the hit. Medieval axes looked a lot like this little fellow here. Again, some were much, sized up, because this is a mouse hawk, which is a term for a small axe, small tomahawk. But I could easily mount that, put a foot on the end, and have a really nice walking axe. But that's a little aggressive. I'm not really sure how I would do about it. Thesis says, I was actually better with my bow than I was with thrown weapons, or at least I was. Crazy how things last couple of years I have had a chance to shoot. I want to get back into archery. I went from living in a caldera where wind was not really an issue much of the time, except for extremely long shots, to the windiest part of the world. Windiest part of the nation, where stray wind could get an arrow very easily. So I'm having to find ways to do that safely down here. And ironically, one of the safer ways to do it is to use a higher poundage that puts more force behind the arrow, so it's less likely to drift. But given my assorted conditions, I am kind of forced towards lighter poundage these days. So we will see. I miss archery acutely. And I'd love to. Let's see. Where are we? Pressure points are not. Let's see. Yeah, pressure points aren't fun. Nice try. Pretending to be part vampire won't distract us from the fact you're still made out of food. Johnny, you don't want to try to come for me on that part. Other vampires have tried. He's not a vampire. He's a satyr. Horns are a dead giveaway. Also, the fact that he's always sitting down so we can't see the goat legs. No, the goat legs take way too long to make. I have worn goat legs in costume before, and the evidence is out there for the people who can find it. But they are also very, very hot. But I'm not a cryptid. No, I'm a normal, rational, middle-aged man of no particular interest to anyone. Build a tunnel. That tempts me. Either building a tunnel or simply doing very light range short shots across my basement. I'm not kidding. I've considered it. That's why I do a whole lot of Nerf stuff in my home, because Nerf is just, frankly, fun. The wind has failed the city. Actually, the wind is a big part of what's made my area survive and not starve out, because of the grants and things from the wind farm companies. So we have the many, many, many of the great big whirly birds, and I still think that they give us hope to the potential of a better future, and that makes me happy. We had a small range, we got shut down so the city could build another baseball field. Yes, Thesis is not just still annoyed. And I plan to finish my Kenku tomorrow. Well, that's wonderful, Cindy. I think that's great. And no, I did not miss the arrow joke. Uh, no. Ollie is Bruce if Bruce allowed himself to have fun for criminy sake. I love Green Arrow. Uh, Believe it or not, the first superhero comics I ever had were Green Arrow, and the first superhero comic I ever owned was uh, the one where he was learning to use a compound bow after always using a recurve. It was an interesting issue, and I remember seeing him trying to learn to hit this twisted chunk of pipe and being a complete dick about it and realizing he was being a dick and then learning from the guy giving him instruction. It was really it showed growth in the character. I love Green Arrow because he just doesn't have the emo-ness that Bruce has. Batman is objectively better, but that doesn't count because he's got plot armor 16 miles thick. So no, I think the Arrow joke hit bullseye. But we've been going for about an hour, and for some reason it's highlighting that. I'm hoping tomorrow to be shooting a lot of footage for you guys. We are planning to do some shooting this summer. We have a big field behind our apartment. I want to take our target out and lose a few hours just to see what happens. Please be careful. You don't want to get in trouble with the local constabulary, especially where, in Utah. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you guys. So please check with the legality and make every effort of safety before you do an activity like that. But that being said, I hope you can find a place to shoot. It's very hard to do what we do, and I've had to give up sites because of interference from locals and, frankly, balderdash. There's a whole lot in a story that I don't intend to tell about all that, but let's just say I've had to deal with powers and principalities when it comes to teaching people to sword fight for free. But before we close out, guys, I got to talk to you about something. And I mentioned it on my previous show, so if you saw that, I'm sorry. Because you'll be hearing a balanced version of that. What I do to help people. And one of the groups of people I have worked with are the people who have survived suicide attempts, been suicidal, have been in that dark place. And I've had the privilege both to be the person on the other end of the phone at night for a number of them. And I've had the pleasure of seeing people gain confidence through what we do to help get past that. I'm not going to say it cures it because that would be a lie, but to help get past that. And every year, usually I do it tomorrow, but today, about this time of year, I ask that if you are feeling that way, please reach out. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, but there are people who care. And if you're somebody who's doing okay, but you have the slightest suspicion, check on folks. There are people who hate me in this world right now because I notified the authorities. I'm hated by some people because I had the audacity to save their lives. And I accept that. Because I'll tell you something. You don't remember the ones you save. The ones that get you. I lost track after nearly 200 people over the years. I just couldn't count anymore. But that I talked to and got through. Now there were some repeats, but I'll tell you, every time it was an experience. But you don't remember the faces of the people you help. You remember the ones you read in the newspaper, you see online. And check on the people around you, guys. Check on the people. Check on the people who serve. Check on the people will check on the people who show the signs of depression overtly. The ones who, suddenly have the behavior changes and stuff. They tend to get help. It's a squeaky wheel thing. Look out for the people like Robin Williams, the people who just strive to bring joy and grind, because a lot of times those people are the ones who are suffering. And they need support. They need help. Now, if you are somebody who's survived that scenario and gotten through those dark times, never feel ashamed for it. Okay? Mental health is not a moral failing. No more than having a broken leg or a virus or diabetes. It's not a moral failing. Now, there are some people who will try to make it that way, and those are usually people trying to feel superior because they have their own problems. But watch for folks. And if you're on that edge or you're in that neighborhood and you're giving too much, remember, you got to fill up your own cup. You can't give from an empty cup, because I know the guilt approach does not usually work, folks. And the people who the people who are upset, who are hurting, who are feeling the long-term pain that can come from this, guilt won't help because they already feel like they failed. But a lot of times they've lived their life in service or trying to make redemption for something they've done in the past or are worried they're going to do. And sometimes just reminding them that, well, you deserve it too. And being obnoxious and caring for them even when they don't want you to is the only way to do it. But please reach out to folks. There are a lot of ways that people can go that route. And, people see the dramatic. The ones who are going to take a sudden, dramatic, permanent solution for a temporary problem, which is terrible. But what they don't see sometimes are the people who just stop. It's not that they die, they stop living. And it erodes at them till an illness takes them. It's a different kind. That's why we reach out for people. This is why we try to heal the damaged. We care for the weak. This is what being human is about. What being a sentient is about. Mercy and kindness. These are things that it's very easy to forget are important in the world today. We're told they're hokey. We're told that it's silly and irrelevant by people who have embraced a lazy type of laissez-faire nihilism that I find repugnant. They've just simply given up doing anything because they can't do everything, so they won't do anything. There's hope. The world can get better, and you can make a difference. And it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but you can. And folks, it's been proven that people like you more than you believe. It's one of the odd tricks of humanity. It's a psychological fact that people, if you ask them how people feel about me, you, versus how you think, they genuinely like you. They care more. Just people don't know how to express it. We're strange, cumbersome, thudding little creatures sometimes. So those of us who have access to light, we got to share it with the folks who don't. And those of you, if you're watching this now or 20 years from now, however long this is online, if you're feeling like you're lost in the dark, keep reaching out, please. There are professionals out there. The suicide number is a lot easier than it used to be. There is no shame in asking for help, and you deserve it. And to everybody who, through hook or crook, managed to stick around when maybe you didn't want to, thank you. Sometimes your continued existence is a service you'll never understand. So, every time I sign off, especially on the show, about third thing, and I say, guys, be kind to yourself and each other. This time of year, I mean it doubly, triply, exponentially. You're not alone. You're loved. And I know in some of you, there are people who watch this and they never comment, they never say anything, but they watch these shows. And to you, I don't know you. I don't know, and I can't even imagine right now what you're going through because I don't have that information. But I believe wholeheartedly, if there can be vile, bigoted, hateful people who despise others, sight unseen, irrationally, then I have every right as a sentient to love people equally irrationally. And I have certain missions, they're parts of what I call the gig. I have jobs, I have occupations, I have things that I do to feed and entertain and whatever. But at the end of the day, there's the gig. And it's tied to my faith and it's tied to my philosophy. And part of the gig is I want to be the person I wish I had known. The kind of person that I wish had been there for me when I needed it. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I fail. But if enough people try to be that, we can be better. Because there are only two philosophies coming out of trauma. There's the philosophy that is, if I had to suffer, well, they do too. And that's a very destructive, consuming philosophy. And then there's the, I would never want someone to go through what I'm going through. And if they have to, I pray they don't have to go through it alone. And a lot of people give thoughts and prayers. They throw the term around when dealing with certain problems. And the way I look at it, that's step one. I really do believe, and this is me speaking as my broken, backward, backsliding, goofy form of Christian, which I mean no offense by that, but I also have no apology. That is my belief system in sort. Always in progress. But you get down on your hands and knees and you pray, you ask for help and better. And then after you've asked, you get up and you do something about it. That's how problems get solved. Because it's a lot easier with the boss on your side, in my opinion. So, as I close today, I just want you guys to know, and I mean this sincerely, all the good folks that are watching And if you're watching, you're probably all the good folks. So all the folks are watching, even the not good folks. Love thy enemy is part of the gig too. I do love you. And I am genuinely rooting for you to have every good in your life. So tomorrow I probably won't be streaming and I won't be online much. If I'm fortunate, it is because I will be doing a bunch of stuff. If I am unfortunate, it will be because nobody came and the event of the day hit me harder than I want to deal with. Regardless, guys, do your drills. Yeah, this is why I love the people on the show. You guys get it. Do your drills. Keep your guard up. Be kind to yourself and each other. And as always, folks, thank you for supporting your local swordmaster. I will see you next week for Never Mind the Furthermore. At some point in the future, I will be doing a drawing stream to set up the videos for next week. Probably not Saturday if all goes well. But since I never know when that show is, I can't tell you when it is. But it will be on the other channel, the Nicholas Cocker channel. So after you've liked, shared, and subscribed over here, go over there and make sure you're subscribed too. Link should be in the comments, in the gobbledygook, the description. Other than that, guys, I'll see you all real soon. I've got some good things in the works, and I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to share it with you. Have a wonderful weekend.